Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the PAD Leg Saver Hotline. And every week we are going to get together and just shoot the about PAD and experiences with people. And I have my amazing co-host, Douglas Salisbury, the chair of our PAD Warrior Task Force for the Global PAD Association here, our ringleader. Hey, Douglas.
We want to welcome everybody. This is going to be a very interesting time to share and learn and get to know each other and be a part of surviving this disease.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Come share your experience, come ask questions. We were joined by Marina, excited that she's here. Mike's here. We have our amazing producer, Josh, who's here as well, making this all possible. And so you can ask questions, you can share your story, share your experience. It's all about just coming together and feeling heard. And maybe ultimately some of those powers that be may see some of the experiences and create the change that we all want to see. So really excited about this. What do you think, Douglas? Should we bring in Marina? I would love to hear her story.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before, and it's a great way to start the episode because of her concerns and what she'd been through. It strikes us as how many of us have been through what she's been through, and how many of us now are still going what she's going through, and her concerns and how she feels about this and that, and not knowing and learning what she's learning today to be her best advocate.
Yeah, Marina, it sounds like you had this catalyst that you were just like, you know what? The doctors aren't going to advocate for me. I need to advocate for myself. What was the catalyst for you kind of having this moment of realization?
Well, I was told there was nothing else they can do for my left leg. It's bypass or amputation. I said, I can't. I don't know enough about this to make that decision. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm very upset.
Oh, I believe it. I would be too. I can't believe that literally they're just throwing that out there and saying, this is your only option, have a major procedure that is not even guaranteed. They didn't even give you any guarantees, did they, that the bypass would work?
No, because my veins are also not candidates. So it would have to be a graft. And they said that's not as successful typically. So
they're saying, why delay the inevitable? Just go ahead and let's just amputate. Why even waste our time? But we'll give you the choice, though. You can have the bypass, then the amputation versus just the amputation.
Right. So I went back to the doctor last week and I said, no, I need time. I started reading about the walking. I said, I want to try and fix this, without the doom and gloom.
So that is really cool that you want to do this. And we've had several patients. We have a podcast called Collateral Nation, and it's co-hosted by Kevin Morgan. He has a PhD in pathology, and he is a PAD patient who is 82 years old and literally competes in world triathlons. Right. And he is not giving up. He has full blockages all the way down his legs. His doctors said there's nothing they can do. And he said, well, I'm not going to settle for that. I am literally going to take the bull by the horns, and I am going to use my degree in pathology and really better understand how the body works and create mechanisms by which I can actually improve my circulation so I can continue to do what I love, which is compete at an international level. So I would imagine for you, that would be really encouraging, that maybe just saying, you know what, I'm going to go the natural route and see how far it takes me. And no matter what, it's going to benefit you. Even if you do end up having to have a surgery, it's going to benefit you and have a better result if you do have that stronger collateral network of vessels.
Right. I've been watching his videos on YouTube about the pad 100, the flexing the feet. And so I started doing that. I need to try everything, so, and
I have a question for you too.
Sure.
that we hear this a lot in the group, and with what Kim just said, up till this point, did you feel like he was a doctor and you just trusted that process? And now that you're becoming aware of some of the things you're learning, you have better questions when you go in to see the doctor and say, wait a minute, hold on, what about this? What about this? Before, he just wore the white coat. So you've got to this point, because that's where I was for 2 years. I just thought that he's the doctor. He's supposed to handle it. He knows what he's doing. And my job is just to do my part.
Right.
And,
Well,
and then,
it was so minimized, over the last year. This started almost a year ago, and I've had probably 10 procedures on my legs. And it was just so minimized that, and stupid me for not researching more. It was just, Marina, don't worry about it. Come in tomorrow, we'll fix it, and you'll be good as new. And I just kept hearing that until finally I said, no more. It's not working. It's not working, and it's stressful. And that's when, when they came back and said, well, there's nothing else we can do. You have to go see a surgeon for the bypass.
It's really important that people understand that our philosophy at the Global PAD Association is always, always, always get a second opinion if you can. If it is not an acute, life-threatening situation,
Right.
get a second opinion from a different doctor, different facility. Even in a different practice, there are 4 different types of practices that treat PAD. You have vascular surgeons, you have interventional cardiologists, you have interventional radiologists, and you even have vascular medicine doctors. And they all have their fortes, right? And not everyone in every practice treats not only PAD, but if they do treat PAD, they may not treat advanced stage PAD known as critical limb ischemia. Some doctors liken it to a cancer of the legs. And that takes a very special skill set that includes wires and balloons being able to finesse and traverse through vessels the size of coffee stirrers in the calf and clear into the foot. And so I always say err on the side of preparing yourself for just in case you ever need someone like that, and going and doing your research and finding a doctor who will go the extra mile and has the experience treating the most advanced stage of PAD known as CLI. We call them CLI operators. And what I'm wondering in your case, Marina, is we see this all the time. I'm not saying it is the case in your case, but it is worth asking that when you talked before we started this about blockages, maybe initially above the knee, where they were placing stent after stent after stent.
Yeah.
When I see a revolving door of treatments like this, sometimes what first comes to mind, what I've seen in traveling the world and watching thousands of hours of these procedures, is these doctors will turn on the faucet, fix the vessels up above, but they ignore the vessels below, the plumbing below. And so if the plumbing below can't support the faucet being turned on, it's just going to back right back up. Some of the doctors have a theory as to why they may not treat the vessels below the knee initially, which is sometimes if you turn on the faucet, it can perfuse. And if you walk, sometimes they'll develop new collateral network of vessels to actually find new routes for that blood to flow. But for the most part, and what it sounds like in your case, is I'm wondering, what does your flow look like below the knee? There are 3 vessels below the knee. Doctor, are they open? Can the plumbing support the faucet being turned on? What does my outflow look like as well? And so these are the questions that you always want to ask. And I would say before any procedure, you want to know the landscape. You want to know the big picture. You want to know if you're going to have a procedure below the knee, you want to know what your vessels look like from your abdomen clear to the toes. You want to know that if they're going to put a stent over in your, let's say, your iliac artery, which is in the lower abdomen in the groin area, that if they turn on that faucet, that there's some place for that blood flow to go. And this is a conversation that you really need to have.
Hey,
I
Kim,
think that that's really important.
does that bring up that question about, so you're sitting with the doctor and he says, we're going to go in and put a stent in. What about that question where are we just kicking the can down the aisle? Or here's the big question that we probably need to ask more of, what's your backup plan?
Yep. After every procedure, before any procedure, Douglas brings up an excellent point. You always want to know, what is the contingency plan? What is the contingency plan when this fails? Or even more, let's take it back a little bit further. Let's start with, what is the purpose of this procedure? Procedures used to treat PAD, whether interventional or bypass, are literally designed to be performed to give you pain relief and to heal a wound. That's literally what these procedures are for. And it's more often than not, it's an advanced stage. I'm not just talking about intermittent claudication, meaning when you walk, you get a little cramp, and when you stop, it rests. No, I'm sorry. Frontline treatment for that is walking and pushing through the pain. Seems counterintuitive, but you got to do it, and you will grow collateral network of vessels. Now, the second part that we're talking about is those the pad where maybe you have a wound that's not healing, you have pain at rest, which is, Marina, what you talked about. You have pain at rest. It's not just when you walk. When you stop, it's painful. It's even painful before you start. You might even have pain that wakes you up at night. Do you?
No, I don't anymore have pain that wakes me up. And my pain at rest is only after I've exercised a lot.
See, that's actually, that's a good sign. So in your case, I would say to the doctor, well, do I really need a procedure right now? Why can't I do a walking regimen where I can grow my collateral network of vessels? Because, Marina, with the state of innovation where it's at in treating PAD, there are a lot of things that people can do. If the walking program fails, well, then there's a contingency plan. What's the contingency plan when walking fails? Well, you can go in for maybe another intervention to open up some of those stents. Maybe check the below the knee vessels and see if they can open up something more. But what's the contingency plan once they do the bypass?
Right,
In your
And does
case,
that, does that,
amputation.
right.
is that part where we need to ask that before we go into that procedure? Because
Yep.
we don't want to hear afterwards the doctor say he goes through the groin or he goes through the wrist. I couldn't get through, and we locked you up, and we're just going to go down the road. Well, could you spend 3 more hours trying to go through the bottom, or go through the knee, or do something else? Is that your contingency plan, or do I want to get a second opinion before I go into surgery if you can't get through and you're just going to kick me down the road?
Yeah. So what Douglas is mentioning is, when you have interventional, I love that it just goes to show the research and making yourself a more informed patient really matters, because what he's referencing is, doctors can actually, in an interventional procedure, they can actually take wires and balloons into the groin and go south to tackle the blockage. But if they can't get through that blockage going south, well, there are a lot of doctors that can actually poke in the foot or in the
Right.
calf or behind the knee and come up from below, known as a retrograde approach. So that's a really important question to ask your doctor with these procedures. Well, if you go down, where are you going to access my arteries? Are you going to access it through the wrist? Are you going to access through the groin? And what happens when you can't get through from above? Are you going to try coming up from below? What's the contingency plan?
Yeah, I've had both. They've gone in through the foot and through the groin, mostly through the groin, though.
Mostly through the groin. So they've literally done a lot. Did they ever talk to you about walking as medicine? Because it sounds like where
Never.
you're at, that you may not have needed all of these procedures at all. And I hate to armchair quarterback, and I'm not a doctor and I can't review or judge your case, but it seems to be where you're at, where you have had all these procedures. You're on deck for bypass and possibly amputation, but yet you are not actually expressing the textbook symptoms of advanced limb-threatening ischemia, CLI, which is a wound on your foot that won't heal
Right.
and pain that wakes you up at night.
Yeah, no, I don't have any wounds. And I don't get woken up at night. I used to get cramps at night, but that stopped. One of the procedures, one of the stents somewhere worked. But that I haven't had that in a while.
I think that's an
No,
important
I agree.
thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think, if I wasn't so, I don't know, I just didn't know. I didn't know anything. And it was just so nonchalant. It was like going to the dentist, I really didn't know. And I don't know anyone that had this. So, I think I could have, now reading all this information, I could have taken a different path and tried walking, probably a year ago,
And
The good
Marina,
news,
I am struggling myself. I'm constantly walking and worried about this every single day now when I wake up in the morning. Um, it's crazy the way that you feel as soon as you get up in the morning. It's in your mind straight away.
Yeah.
I haven't had any surgery or anything yet. I keep saying yeah. I don't know whether I know that I'm not due any soon. But I can really relate to the way that you're feeling, the way that my mum was feeling before, and the way that she was going through with. She had stents done. She had multiple stents that kept on failing.
Mhm.
Then she agreed to a bypass. This was 13 years ago. She agreed to a bypass, and that failed. So when you're going online and reading about things that you know what's kind of coming, you create your own path in your own mind of where you think you're going to go, and it's just not. It's not. You need to. I don't know where I'm coming from with this, but yeah, try
No.
not to think too much about things that you read online.
Yeah.
I mean, this group is amazing with Kim. Kim has created this. The Way to Your Heart is absolutely phenomenal. And the way that I've learned since I was diagnosed in February and the things that I've learned over the last 6 months, I was just saying to my partner how much I've changed as a person. When I got told that I had PAD, I just fell to the floor. Literally fell to the floor. I was Googling everything.
And it was hard.
Yeah.
And, I needed a little bit of time out. So I went back to the UK. I'm currently in Canada. I went back to the UK. I had a couple of weeks where I was back with family and friends, and I've come back to Canada as a completely new person. I'm kind of looking forward to every day now and seeing what it brings. I've still got my routine, but I've changed my whole entire life. Because of this disease over the last 6 months has completely changed me as a whole person.
Right.
I don't know where I'm going through with this, but sorry, I've had a couple of drinks and I'm kind of on an emotional roller coaster at the
I
moment. I'm
love
really
it
sorry.
though. This is so heartfelt, and I honestly, I don't care. There's no, it doesn't matter where the caboose is to the train of thought. You're
I feel
speaking
like
from
I
the
could
heart.
cry now, just listening to this story of Marina. I just feel as though I could cry for you at the moment, and I'm really sorry.
It will get better, Marina.
Yeah.
It will.
I think now joining the group and getting, some accurate information can only help me. I think, I have to stop looking in the past and, all these procedures. I just have to,
Amen.
pretend they'd never happen and just, this is where I am now and how do I move forward? I mean,
Well, think about.
I learned today that you're grieving the person that you were, but you need to grieve that person that you were and move forward with the new person that you are.
Embrace the person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw two things out. Think about everything we've all been through up to this stage of our life, and we've made it through. We're here.
Right.
This is just something else for us to conquer and move on from. It's just something else that helps us grow and become the people that we are. And I'm sure all of us in this room and all listening tonight know we've all had things happen in our lives. The ups and downs of this journey that we live is crazy sometimes. And I learned in my recovery, I was taught and learned things and how to stay clean and sober. And I use those still today. We're going to use that with our PAD and what we're learning. And I think that's the important thing about us sharing our stories together is that we've learned a lot from Marina tonight. We learned a lot from Mike this morning or yesterday, and we learned from Wanda. And all of us, we learned how to ask those questions, where to go with them, and think about them. And the last one, I'm going to throw a red wrench in here real quick. You ready, Kim?
Can it be green?
A red wrench. So with what 10 procedures, how aggravating is that for us to hear sometimes when we think about the doctors and the CLI fighters and the ones that aren't, and for your part, how aggravating can that be? Trying to before we talked tonight, we talked about getting the word out and changing, and how PAD is growing every single day, and some of the technology is amazing today. But at the same time, I answer phone calls from people who are in her position and not knowing what to do. And one doctor, another doctor won't do this, won't do that because they don't believe in it. And it creates issues for us because I'm the one living with PAD. So how aggravating is that for you and when you hear these stories and trying to get that word out to doctors to learn this technique or that technique because it affects our lives every day.
It's actually infuriating because Marina and the overuse of procedures, it's really the exception to the rule of what we're experiencing that is leading to amputations. But we've heard my co-host for the Heart of Innovation and the creator of the Save My Piggies brand, Dr. John Phillips, talking about the overuse of procedures and the patients coming to him with stents all the way from groin to toe. And it's like there's nothing else they can do when that gets blocked up. It's really misusing these procedures, which are only supposed to be used for pain relief, to give you enough pain relief and enough blood flow for pain relief and to heal wounds so you get out and walk, because it's not a matter of if these procedures are going to fail, it's a matter of when. And the whole idea is to get you on your feet, get you walking, getting to use what God created, which was this body that is filled with miracles, whether or not you're a believer, universe, whatever you believe in. Your body has these little miracles that can actually grow. They can dilate and grow like tree roots, these collateral network of vessels to reroute blood flow around those blockages. And that's what's really key. And because there are a few bad seeds, and I use the phrase bad seeds loosely because I think that there are doctors that really think they're doing the right thing for patients, and they just do not follow guidelines, because they listen to the patient. The patients say they hurt and they want to just give you pain relief, right? Open a little bit more blood flow and we'll give you pain relief. But the problem is PAD management guidelines state that conservative therapy is the gold standard. It's evidence-based. Walking is therapy, and medication should always be actually offered for at least 3 months. And if symptoms don't improve, in fact, they worsen, then you have the conversation about an intervention. Because there are these doctors, such as the ones that may have treated Marina, that are doing 10 procedures in a year without, and she says she's not having any rest pain. I would assume in the beginning she wasn't having rest pain. She didn't have a wound that wasn't healing.
Nope.
She had claudication, right, Marina?
Yes.
And yet they did these procedures disregarding the PAD management guidelines for even global to do conservative treatment first. That is why these insurance companies, Medicare Advantage plans, are literally just saying, taking it out on every single doctor that's performing limb salvage. They are delaying procedures, they're denying procedures as a rule with their algorithm, forcing peer-to-peer conversations. Meantime, these patients that actually are in advanced stage PAD, known as CLI, which they liken to cancer of the legs, they have wounds that won't heal. Their toes are turning necrotic. They're being awakened out of a sound sleep with Charlie horses. I mean, it's egregious, right? And then even more is we're just coming to find out that Humana and some of the other Advantage plan companies are dropping the doctors performing these procedures. So because there are a few of these doctors that are performing too many procedures, all doctors and all patients must suffer. And my more than 60% of amputations, Marina, as you know, it's not because of too many procedures. Yes, there are a handful of these procedures, these amputations that are caused by literally just someone going to town with stents and bypasses and all that jazz. But the majority, more than 60%, according to Dr. Eric Szymski's research, he's from Beth Israel and his team, more than 60% of amputations are performed with a doctor doing nothing at all in the year prior, and 90% of which without even a vascular evaluation at all. And that's what's really concerning. But the headlines in the media, ProPublica and the New York Times, it's not those doctors performing amputations without even following standard guidelines from the American Heart Association and Society for Vascular Surgery to at least try. No, they don't care about those. They care about the handful of doctors and the exceptions to the rule that are doing too many procedures. Now, I think there's a balance. I think we need to police all of them. Everyone that is not following standard guidelines, we need to say, hey, you're going to be held accountable. You need to follow PAD guidelines and offer conservative treatment for intermittent claudicants. And you need to perform a vascular evaluation and at least try to restore inline flow prior to any amputation.
How are you going to police them? Who's going to police them?
There are a lot of what do they call it? They have some of the societies like the OEIS and the Society for Vascular Surgery. They have voluntary what do you call it, reservatories or whatever, where they can input their cases and they can have, quality checks. Also Medicare data. So there are quite a few doctors that Medicare, the government has gone after, that are doing too many of interventional procedures. So they are going after them. But the weird thing is that they're not going after the ones performing amputations without following society guidelines. And that seems really, really bizarre. It's very backwards to me because while there's not a lot of evidence that shows that all of the new revascularization techniques are durable. Not one of them stops a revolving door, although we're looking to see as to whether or not the new dissolvable stent from Abbott, known as Esprit, and the new retractable stent from Reflow Medical, known as Spur. We're waiting for some long-term data to see if that can slow down the revolving door of these interventional procedures. But there's still not enough evidence to convince a large number of doctors to actually even try. But it's weird because there is evidence that shows that saving a leg leads to a better quality of life and a longer life for patients. Like there is evidence to support that.
It,
So
I
why
got
not
a
try?
question with that. With the amputation part is I've heard that in that we hear doctors or patients say sometimes they've been told, let's just do the amputation and get on with your life. But as a PAD survivor right now, I'd rather have a procedure once a year and keep my leg than go through what, because I can deal with what I'm dealing with now, not being able to walk to the end of the street better than I can having to learn how to live without a limb and going through what Alan goes through, what Dawn and some of our people go through on a daily basis. How can somebody say it's easier just to cut it off and let's just move on? When I had my procedure, that was the thought. He said, let's just do the axial bifemoral bypass and move on because I can do that in 20 minutes instead of spending another 3 hours trying to go through the leg or the foot or something. So we hear that a lot, don't we? And I would prefer to have a procedure every now and then and keep both my legs.
Yeah,
Okay.
most definitely.
So I mean,
I know the last doctor's appointment I went to last week, and I left there crying. There were so many amputees. I thought, this can't be the right place for me. Especially, I don't think I have ischemia. I mean, no one's mentioned it to me. So, I just, whew, it was just overwhelming.
Yeah,
See,
gotta be.
this is where I really do appreciate this vascular surgeon from Johns Hopkins, Caitlin Hicks, for just even starting the discussion to raise awareness that this is important. This is an important discussion to have to say, hey, you know what? Wait a minute. Let's put the brakes on some of these procedures, including amputation, and let's focus on conservative therapy, walking as medicine. It was interesting that you bring up that you walk into this vascular surgery department at a large university hospital that we won't name, and you see all of these amputees. We had a place over in Tampa that we ended up getting a patient transferred to a different hospital. And when the kids showed up at the first hospital to escort the dad, literally 3 amputees were being wheeled out to be sent home that day. Like, what are the chances? It's that prevalent in some of these hospitals. And in fact, we have Tony and Derek that are in our group that have, been public about their story. And the moment that Tony, the wife, called our Leg Saver hotline at the Global PAD Association, is that very same moment, Marina, when she walked into the waiting room and she saw all of these amputees and she said, oh my God, this can't be the future for my husband. I'm not going to let that happen. There's got to be a way around this.
Right.
and this goes back to a very special part we need to discuss. I feel like sometimes also the mental health and the emotional health that we go through. Because yeah, I can imagine walking into an office knowing that I have issues going on and I want to keep my legs, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, but everyone sitting around me is missing a limb. It's like, uh-oh, am I going to walk out the same way?
I would
And not only does PAD affect our physical, but look at what we go through emotionally with the roller coaster ride of being diagnosed with it and how it affects every single area of our life, our work, our bills, our relationships, our families, our jobs, everything. Not only does, and then we have to lay in bed at night knowing that, well, I can't work now. I had to retire. I wasn't ready to retire. I had to retire, and now I'm on disability, living on this amount every month now compared to what I was living because
Right.
of what I've been through with TAD. So it's being able to acknowledge it. I'm so glad you're here with us, Marina, and being able to share because there is hope. There is courage and strength out there. We can get through this, and being able to support each other and know we're not the only ones who go through this. We're not the only one. I remember I went to a doctor one time on the 25th floor. Kim knows this story. And I walked out of his office, walked about 5 feet to a window, and it's like, I just might as well jump.
Yeah.
Because he said, oh, he basically said, I can't do nothing, and go home, get your affairs in order. You got maybe 2 to 5 years to live. And it's like, so I remember standing there at the window thinking, I'm just going to jump. It's over with. And it's that ongoing, like Mike talks about every morning. I get up and can I do what I want to do today?
Right.
Can I even walk to the mailbox?
Right.
If you're married or in a relationship, if you're still working like Wanda, she's still working. And how does what she can do and can't do now affect her job performance sometimes?
And
you have,
hiding it from my boss. I don't want him to know how bad it is
Right.
when I do get up and then walk for 5 or 10 minutes and my calf is cramping like hell. I'm limping back to my desk. I don't want him to see me do that. I don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
You know, he can
And
go
that's
to
what I worry about as well. Is sorry, Kim. I worry about as well. I left my job in February last year in 2024 to go through with this immigration process. I was diagnosed this February, so I've not been working at all for the last 18 months waiting for my work permit to come through so that I can start working in Canada. And I'm worried now that I used to work for the health service. I used to ferry patients all around the hospital like a porter sometimes. You know, now that I'm getting this leg pain, I worry now, like, obviously I'm not I don't get it that much anymore because of all the work that I've done since February, but it just limits you on what kind of job that I can take on now and what I can do on my daily limit of what, and it's a struggle. It's playing on my mind now of what jobs should I apply for when I get my work permit for Canada? What are my options now?
right.
I don't, you know, so
I'm
And I think that
63.
that's
I'm
important.
retired. This is not what retirement was supposed to look like.
I'm the same, Doug. I retired. I'm 64. I retired 2 years ago, hoping to travel, and we can't do anything. We went to Spain and I couldn't walk. I stayed in the hotel. It's ridiculous.
But now, if you think about it, you could go back to Spain and you could plan. And we always tell people that when you travel, it's just about strategic planning. It's about making sure that you know where you're walking and knowing that the walking and the pain is not going to hurt you, that it's actually good for you. You might not be able to walk as fast as you want. You might not be able to walk as far as you want, but you can plan accordingly and still try to enjoy. You might not be able to enjoy it the way you used to, but
Right.
try to figure out how can you figure out a way that you can still go to Spain and enjoy the wonderful food and the sights and the flair, even where you're at, in your journey with PAD. And
That's the
plus, by
part.
the way, we know some advanced limb savers there, so if you needed them.
That's
Okay.
the part
No,
where.
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
That's the part we need to remember. 10 years ago, I'm a man. 10 years ago, I would just manhandle everything. I would just handle it, just manhandle it. Today, I'll share a little. I'm building a tiny house. I have learned how to do things around my graft that pokes me 24 hours a day. I've had to learn how to do what I used to do, just different now.
Right.
And another part about that is learning how to ask for help today is another part. But I'm learning today how to saw and how to build things and do things that I used to do. I just have to do it a different way today because I just have to learn to do something different, a different way. It's walking. Imagine that walking and uh, you're walking to claudication, right?
Mhm.
Then you take that next step. I've always wanted to ask my body who gave it permission to create a collateral without asking me for what it wanted to do. You know, think about that. When you walk into that pain and you take that next step, your body says, "Oh wait, we have an issue. I need to do something.
As a consultant for her.
I need to build a collateral around this blockage." And
Yeah.
I'm learning to do that in other areas of my eating habits, my not smoking habits today, and in eating properly and walking and doing and still I have PAD and CAD, but that doesn't mean I'm dead, and that's not who I am. I'm
Right.
also a brother. I'm also a counselor. I'm also this. I'm also that, and I have to remember those things about living with this PAD and not letting it define my life today completely. It
Right.
makes a difference. It does. It impacts everything I do, but it does not define me today. And we
Right.
need to remember that.
Right.
Exactly.
When my family calls or the kids call, I say, I'm more than just my legs. So forget the legs. Ask me how I am other than my legs. I'm more than just.
Marina, I'm going to interject here. I'm Jordy. I'm Mike's husband.
Hello.
We love
And
Jordy.
Jordy,
hey,
Jordy,
how you doing
like
all?
Norm. Hey, Jordy.
I'm going to share a little bit. My sister has multiple sclerosis and she has been since she was 20 years old. My brother has cystic fibrosis and he's 65 years old and has had a double lung transplant. My own personal story is I have ankylosing spondylitis, which is an arthritis of the spine. In my family, we were allowed our own little pity party where we felt sorry for ourselves.
Right.
And then it was you concentrated on what you could do. And Mike is a prime example of, before he was diagnosed, he would get the claudication pain and we would stop and rest.
Yeah.
And now through his exercise, he doesn't get it very often, but when he gets the claudication pain, he walks as far as he can because that's building those collaterals.
Right.
And when you get this kind of diagnosis, yeah, it's going to bump you back on your butt, and it is a kick. But rather than focusing on what you've lost, focus on what you can do. And if you can focus on what you can do, there's many, many things that you will discover about yourself. Like I discovered that I can actually paint and I'm pretty good at it. So, just bear in mind that this isn't the end of your life. This is a hiccup.
Yeah.
And, everybody here in this group are amazing and they will support you and be there for you in every way possible. Douglas is an amazing person. Josh, even though he doesn't smile that much, he's pretty cool. Like Kim is amazing. So there's my 2 points, my points, and I'm just gonna get him to.
Sorry, guys.
I
Sorry,
love
guys.
that. This is the first
Yeah.
time Jordy speaks, and he
Yeah.
speaks wise words.
now we're gonna have to get more. We're gonna have to get more from him sometime.
Buddha Jordy. I love it. We got to get him on more.
He's a
We love
lot.
you too, Mike.
So
Thank
let's.
you.
Hey, are you still with us, Bonnie?
So
You
are
go.
we muted?
Are you mute? You want to unmute and
Bonnie,
introduce
Bonnie is
yourself?
muted. We'd love for her to come in and say hello. Hi, Bonnie.
Hello. I had to plug my
How are you
phone in.
doing?
Well, I was just recently
diagnosed with PAD and claudication, and I really have a problem walking. The pain gets so intense. Well, I can't go up a hill. I can't walk around a block. I can probably walk the length of, well, I did walk the length of a street here, down the street, back and forth 3 times.
I think
Haven't walked since.
Wanda, you can relate, right?
Yeah, when
Huh?
I walk in my house, I don't walk outside ever. But
See?
I push for 30 minutes and I walk in my office 5,
Okay.
like, no, I did it
And you
twice,
push.
5 minutes, you know. I get up and I walk. Sometimes I forget my phone because I'm going to get water in the kitchen
Well,
at
those
work.
steps don't count. Those steps don't count if you don't have your phone tracking them.
Yeah. So
I'm just kidding.
I
See,
know.
Bonnie, everyone has, a similar experience. So how long were you experiencing these symptoms before the doctor actually said, you know what, you have PAD? Or was there a misdiagnosis, or did they pretty much nail it right away?
I've been going to doctors for 5 years to try and get a diagnosis. And every doctor had something different. One doctor did say he thought, but it never went any further. My doctor, my primary, never said anything about it. But I had that pain, and I started to feel like I was a quack when I'd go into the doctor because, oh, now she's going to another doctor or this doctor, and I make my own appointments because nobody's making them for me or giving me referrals. So lucky I can do that with my insurance.
Yeah.
You know,
Where are you
Which state?
located?
I don't know if I
Exactly.
really have it, to be honest, because my hip hurts like crazy, and I go in every 3 to 6 months for injections for my hip, and my pain is in my thighs.
So that's actually, so if you have blockages above, if you have a blockage in the aorta or the iliac arteries, it
Iliac
can.
is what they said.
So the iliacs do their arteries and they can get blockages. I hope you don't mind me asking. You can choose whether or not to answer, but one of the risk factors and where we see that happening a lot, and especially in the iliacs, is if someone has had a history of smoking.
Yes.
Okay. Don't worry, we have quite a few on here. They'll raise their hands
Yep.
that continue or had as well. So you're in good company here. So don't worry. The good news is with the iliac arteries is those are really big arteries. And so if you are in a situation where walking and you can't push through the pain anymore and it's not helping and your symptoms spiral, doctors have told us that most of those iliacs they can get open with a wire and balloon, and they even have a brand new device. It not new, but it's on the newer side. It's called lithotripsy, and they tend to use that to crack that really tough plaque in those upper arteries. and and then they follow sometimes with a drug coated balloon and then a stent, and in that area it's pretty durable. If you stop smoking, if you walk, if you eat right, you take your medications, it lasts a really long time. But the
So,
thing is with PAD is you need to try conservative therapy first. And the Global PAD Association has a walking program, a walking app, and you should try for 3 months. If you don't have pain that's waking you up at night and you don't have a wound on your foot that is not healing, you really should try a walking regimen for 3 months, and
Yeah.
you should see if it improves symptoms. And walking through the pain is when you're training your body to actually grow those collateral network of vessels. You have this collateral network of vessels that lay dormant in your body until they're needed. And when they're needed, they just light up and they dilate and they expand and they grow like tree roots around your blockages. Less
Huh.
so up at the top, area, but they still happen. It's still really helpful to walk as much as you can and build out that network. And then talk to your doctor if symptoms haven't improved and they've worsened, because there are minimally invasive procedures that are available to help you as well, as long as you have literally done everything that you can to mitigate those risk factors. Don't Dr. Google. You're not going to be dead in 5 years.
No,
You have this in the legs, right? You check
Yep.
your heart, get your heart checked as well. That's really important. Get your carotids checked.
They're
We
clear.
always say, see, that's good. We say chat with your doctor, CHAT, carotids, heart, abdomen for aneurysm, and T for toes, checking those pulses in the toes. So chat with your doctor. Douglas, what were you going to say?
Do you have, Bonnie, do you have anything coming up? Are they planning anything, or do they have any, what's the action or plan they have right now,
Well,
maybe to help you?
what I did is I called my physical therapist here in town because I live in a small town, and they just put in a big, a gym connected with physical therapy. And I asked him if they had that program where I could come and Medicare would still pay for it. And he said they did. So I went in today and they said, because of my hip, they want me to go see my orthopedic doctor, which I'm doing Monday, and make sure it's not my hip, because I've had to have the bursus popped, and then they stretched my IT band because it had shrunk, and now I'm scared maybe it shrunk again, and they can't do surgery on that again. You can only stretch it so far, and so I'm gonna do that, and then I'll try walking again, even if I have to walk with my walker. My neighbor
Yeah.
suggested that.
So have
Now,
you actually been tested for, you haven't been tested for PAD. You haven't had an ankle brachial index
Yes,
test
I
where
have.
you have, and what were the results?
Iliac.
Okay, so you do have iliac issues going on.
Yeah.
Do you remember the amount of stenosis or amount of blockage or how low the pressure was? I would imagine in the ABI, it's
All
just
I
about
know, I
pressure, but
remember is 50% blockage.
okay, that can definitely have an impact on your walking ability. And it's definitely worth making sure that you see a proper vascular specialist. There are
Yeah.
4 different types of doctors: vascular surgeon, interventional cardiologist, interventional radiologist, and vascular medicine. Always the best option, again, conservative first. So you don't want a doctor that's going to say, okay, let's go in, let's just start in the
Right.
knife out, let's start cutting you open. No, 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 no. You don't want that. But you want someone that's going to work with you on modifying your risk factors, smoking cessation, eating right, and walking as medicine, making sure that you start on whatever medications that might be appropriate for you that might also help, including a vasodilator known as cilostazol, which is part of PAD management guidelines for as frontline treatment to help you with the blood flow. But
Right. I'm going
what
to ask
state
my
are you
doctor.
in?
I go see him on the 31st, and I want that. And there's another medication I want because I used to walk a lot, every day. And, well, after I lost my husband, I just
Oh,
went
I'm
to work,
sorry.
and I'd come home and just nap or just sit. I sit a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What state are you in?
I'm in Minnesota now.
so you're in a perfect place to get a perfect second opinion doctor through Kim to help you figure that out. And if you're going on the 31st, if you go on the PAD site, there's a list of questions that will help you when you go see your doctor. There's a list of questions that Kim can get you that you need to ask
Okay.
to
And
get
the
a
question
bigger,
about
rounder picture of
iliac.
where you are and what you're going through. So get with Kim and she can help you get those questions so that you're well informed and you're able to ask the questions you need to ask now,
Okay.
so that it just doesn't keep going.
Right.
Yeah, you can go to padhelp.org and navigate to the Find a Doctor page, and there's a list of criteria to use. And I mean, if you're closer to Rochester, if you're closer to what's the oh goodness, not Rochester, Minneapolis. Great ones there. There are ones way up north near St. Paul. There are a lot of great doctors, but there are also ones that are not so advanced. The good news is for you is it seems like you have more of a traditional type of PAD that is the bigger vessel disease. And most doctors tend to have the experience no matter what their practice in that area. The one
Yeah.
thing that I always advise patients, especially when it comes to those iliac arteries, is if you do at some point need a procedure, need an intervention, to make sure the doctor uses an additional imaging device known as intravascular ultrasound, or IVUS, because I've seen way too many cases where doctors say, oh, I can just eye it. I use a CT angiogram. I'm great. I can measure it. But I can only tell you, in manning the Leg Saver hotline, call after call after call from patients that have had their iliac arteries go down, they get reblocked, and that's supposed to be really durable. I mean, it's not supposed to go down if you've mitigated your risk factors, unless you have an additional clotting disorder that they just did not um, recognize early on. We
Yeah.
typically see it's because they don't size the stent that they use in the iliac artery properly, and because they didn't size the vessel properly. And if they're using this IVUS, or intravascular ultrasound, they're better able to, put in appropriately sized devices, and
Right.
it should be durable for a very long time.
Well, the doctor
Okay,
that
well,
I'm
what if
seeing,
you
the
have
vascular doctor I'm seeing, is really good. He went through all of that. He told me everything you told me. And well, to say I'm going to Ascension now, but even the doctors from Sanford Hospital up in Fargo send their claudication patients, PAD patients, to the doctor that I'm seeing now.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
No, well, it made me feel good. They have vascular surgeons in Sanford too, so I guess
Yep.
he's highly recommended is all, but
Highly recommended reviews, they literally mean nothing. It's all about, because they can bamboozle their colleagues and say, oh, it was the only thing I could do, and I did everything in my power, and they flex their muscles, and everyone
yeah,
believes them. And so, and they'll, oh, keep sending them to me, and hey, we'll go play golf on the side. And, hey, by the way, you can go fly in my airplane, my private jet, and we'll go to a concert afterwards, go see Billy Joel.
yeah,
These are the things you don't see. So you don't know why they're referring. You don't know, I mean, especially all the way there. He could be the vascular god. We just don't know. And so it's good to hear that he's saying the same things that I'm saying in terms of how a procedure might go and when a procedure might be needed, and the tools and the imaging, additional imaging that would be involved. That's really good news, but that's the criteria that you want to use, right? When you're evaluating whether or not to go with a one doctor. And we always say, get a second opinion before any procedure, no matter what. And any good doctor will tell you, hey, it's great, no problem, no harm, no foul. If you want to go see another doctor, that's great.
right,
Every doctor should say, get a second opinion, because innovation is moving at the speed of light. There are so many research studies that are available that not every doctor has access to. And there might be something new and different that might even extend your outcome further.
right,
There might even be one doctor might even have an incredible game-changing walking program, or they
right.
might be involved in a medicine research trial.
Wait, okay. Can scar tissue interfere with opening up an iliac? You said smokers have iliac blockages.
They can.
Okay. So in 2017, I had a femoral endarterectomy. Okay. There's always been a lump there. Okay. And now sometimes it hurts, So if my iliac is blocked and say I've got a patch on my artery, can he even open the iliac?
Depending on the skill set, and I think I know your doctor, he should have no
Yeah.
problem doing it.
Yeah. Does a patch go bad? Do they have to be replaced like a tire on your car? I mean,
It depends on the patient. It depends on the patient. It depends on the risk factors, if they're mitigated. All procedures, it's not a matter of if they fail, it's a matter of when, and some are more durable than others, longer. But the more you mitigate risk factors, the longer it will last.
Yeah.
And we always say, Douglas, what do you want to make sure? Contingency plan, right?
Yeah,
Always. What is
and I was just thinking, the doctor thing, I was just thinking about my doctor. I had the aorta, the axial, and the stents. I had all those procedures done, and I saw the next doctor after I met with you. Now, the doctor that did all procedures on me is a really nice guy. Really is. He really is a cool guy. But when I saw the next doctor out of Houma, Louisiana, he goes, if you had seen me 2 years before, you would not have had all these procedures because of the technology that we have. So I do live in a small town. Everybody in this town knows that doctor, and everybody goes to that doctor and says he's the best. He is top of the line. But after I got with other doctors, I realized that I would like to go back and ask him, when was the last time you went to a training and learned something new? Instead of
Yeah.
just saying, because he called my brother in the morning and said, if I don't do this bypass, he'll lose his left leg. And
Right.
it was like, hello, is it easier to it was 20 minutes to do the bypass instead of spending another 4 hours trying to get through my blockages. So it's
Wow.
about the money, it's about time. Now he is a really nice guy, but
Mm.
did he have the skill sets to fit what I had? And if I had known, my brother will tell y'all this, he'll say, today, my brother would say, I would tell that doctor today, put him back together. We're going for another opinion.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's why we,
I'll see another. You're talking an opinion from another vascular in the vascular area, or
Yes, it could be an interventional cardiologist, it could be an interventional radiologist, it could be a vascular surgeon.
okay. Yeah, I'll get another opinion on that.
Yeah, we can help you with that. We can let you know who the most advanced limb salvage specialists are in the area, and you can compare notes and see what feels best for you. It's all about you and making just the most informed decision for you. And if it simply affirms how you feel and what you want to do with the other doctor, that's
Yeah.
great. But at least you have another doctor in the back pocket. For my dad, for
Right.
his heart, we ended up with 7 different opinions before
Oh,
we got literally 7 different opinions for his heart. And ultimately, we were able to use all of that information to then go back to the 2 that we felt the most comfortable with to say, hey, but these other doctors said X, Y, and Z. What about this too? And we were able to help create a personalized plan for my dad, to the point where even the interventional cardiologist called me in the middle of the procedure to go over his execution and what he was going to do as plan A, B, and C, now that he has the full visual once the contrast fluid was pumped into my dad's heart to visualize
yeah.
the arteries. So it's amazing. There's so many different options that are available today. It's worth just getting a lay of the land.
and if your
Right.
doctor says, I am it, you don't need a second opinion, then you
Yeah.
need a second opinion.
Yeah. Now, if he says I'm it, then I just leave. I don't want to waste my time. But he's a good doctor. I haven't had him before. It's just that's something I was told. He didn't tell me that. So, and he's in Fargo, North Dakota. So it's a good, only 50 miles from me. Rochester's a long ways. I wouldn't be able to drive it.
Oh, we have doctors in Fargo as well. There's some great doctors there.
Yeah. Well, that'd be my preferred place.
Yeah, you can message me privately with the name of the doctor, and I'm more than happy to just check out his Medicare numbers and see what he
Okay.
does most of, because you want someone that has a high volume of the type of procedures you're looking for, but not too high of volumes. You
Right.
want, someone that does it often. You don't want someone that does it once in a while. So let's say it's a doctor that performs mostly maybe saves for people who have aortic aneurysms or dissections, and that's what they're doing 90% of the time. And maybe once in between there he does a PAD case, which he can do, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you're the only
Exactly.
one doing it, then maybe you have to. But for you, the patient, if you have a choice, we always err on the side of someone who eats, sleeps, and breathes the type of
Right.
procedure that you're wanting to have done.
Yeah.
And think about what we say when we say, I want to see this doctor, but it's too far. What am I willing to do for my legs?
Yeah, I know. I don't
'Cause
have a lot of people to call now to drive me down there. It's either
Right.
they don't have a license. I don't understand it. Why people just let their license? Well, it expired. I didn't go back, and I'm like, well, okay, let's get it going. Well, I have to take the test. Well, yeah. Hello, get your
The doc-
license. I mean, if you want to
the-
leave this little town, instead of relying on everybody else to bring you somewhere, get your dang license. It's not that hard. It takes you 15 minutes to go through the book and, go down and take the test.
Yep.
It's a page test around here. But as far as Minneapolis, I don't want nothing to do with it. It is not a safe place. I'm not going near it.
Yep. But thankfully that there are quite a few doctors that have set up shop in that area and are really good. So, but even if you love your doctor, it's worth just having that
Yeah.
second set of eyes just
Yep.
to see if it's possible. And if you need an Uber ride, the Global PAD Association can help if you can't afford an Uber ride, if Uber is available. We have some areas where Uber is not available, and that's always an exciting time. We ended up with a patient in North Carolina. This was awful. Douglas knows this one in North Carolina, where he was on deck for bilateral above knee amputations. They wanted to take both legs above the knee. He still has, this is like months later from November. He still has his leg, thankfully, but
Yay.
he lives literally in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina, middle
Mm.
of nowhere. And so I had to get a cab, which was 45 minutes from the nearest town, drive to him, and then drive another 45 minutes to where he was. But I had to pay for the cab all the way from the original
Oh,
spot
wow.
before they even picked him up, because he
Gee
was
whiz.
that far out for them, right? And then to bring him all the way back, and then for him to return to his station. It was a lot. It was
Yeah.
crazy. But he couldn't drive.
It's not that small here. I mean, I'm 17 miles from like a Walmart. Okay. But what we have here is I'm in I'm in the lakes area in Battle Lake, and we have a lot going on. We get a lot of tourists. We have every doggone holiday and weekend is overflowing with people because of the lakes. But we have one grocery store and a Dollar General. And then
Ooh, we like the Dollar General. Do they have I always bug Douglas about this, but I like to raid if they have a freezer there, I like to raid the freezer,
That's-
because a lot of times people, it's like the little known area that you can get all kinds of frozen vegetables in the freezer section of the Dollar General.
I'm
Yeah.
in Tex. I'm in
It's a
Texas.
dollar.
I'm in Texas, Bonnie, and
Oh.
I'm in a small town in Texas, and we now have, believe it or not, we actually have what they call a Dollar Tree,
Ah, everything a
and now
dollar.
they're competing with our Dollar General store that we have.
Ah, well, I hope we get maybe a few more stores here, but there are mostly a lot of restaurants because we're in the middle. So people that don't have restaurants close to their lake cabins and stuff, they all come to here. Other than that, post office, your general post office and pharmacy, that kind of thing, bank. But
I
it's
got
beautiful.
excited last year because a couple miles up the road, they were going to open what we call it Bucky's.
Bucky's?
Bucky's.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
I love Bucky's.
You know Bucky's, Marina?
Never
I
heard of it.
do. They have some in Georgia when we have to drive to Florida. We always stop at Bucky's.
Yep.
It's literally it's honest to God a black hole. You can't get out. I'm not kidding. It's literally, it is honestly a PAD, CAD, leg attack and heart attack waiting to happen. But I'm going to tell you, man, that is, you literally don't want to leave. It is like going to a food carnival and they have all
Yeah.
kinds of fun shopping in there, everything, total tourist trap.
You
It's
cannot
fantastic.
leave. Cannot leave without
Cannot
an
leave.
icy Dr.
And
Pepper
brisket.
and
An
a
icy
brisket
Dr. Pepper and a
sandwich.
brisket.
Yep.
Yep.
Yummy.
Yep.
You did mention something. I forgot the word. All I can think of iris. I don't even remember what you connected it to. Is this recorded?
This is, we are live on
Oh,
YouTube.
good. Okay, I'll go in there and listen.
Ivis. Oh, thank you, Joshua, our amazing producer, Joshua, who pays attention better than I do. Ivis, intravascular ultrasound. It is literally my non-negotiable. There are countries that it's not used at all, and I feel terrible. It is such a valuable research. The data, some insurers won't even cover it. Just it's saying that there's not enough data for it. I'm sorry. You can go up there and look up Dr. Eric Szymski from Beth Israel, former Harvard, and there is plenty of research that shows the difference that IVUS can make in these cases. You can't see everything in a 2D image. And unless you're twisting and turning the patient to get all angles, you're never going to get the full 360 that IVUS will provide for you with literally just slipping it into the vessel. So
Okay.
it's
Good.
a non-negotiable. I bet you if your doctor is as good as you say he is, then 100% he's going to say, is that a rhetorical question?
Okay.
I bet you, and you can even joke on that. When he kind of looks at you perplexed as to how you know about it, say,
Right.
I'm guessing with you, that's a rhetorical question. And I would love to see the response. I want you to come back and tell me the response, because that's going to get a really good laugh out of him. And you want to talk about good relationship and being memorable and being the talk of the town when he goes to his, I had a patient, like, where did she hear that? How did she even know about IVUS? And he's gonna remember you forever and ever and ever.
Let me add to that, Bonnie. You can
Yeah.
also have Kim with you when you go to these appointments. You can schedule this with her and she will sit on the phone with you and help guide you through that. And you'd be surprised. I went to a doctor once and he came in, we shook hands. I pulled out my phone. I said, do you mind if I have someone with me to help me remember everything that I need to remember? And I said, it's Kim and Nicholas. And he had this look on his face. He said, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
It's just
Well,
sometimes as we
everybody
prepare
needs
for your
somebody.
appointments, we prepare, when we'll sit and sometimes, and we even have the ability, we'll prepare you for the appointments if you call the Lifesaver hotline, and we'll sit and we'll put together a worksheet together with the questions that you want to ask. Because a lot of times, as you know, you go into these clinic in these consults, and when they seem to feel rushed and they're almost giving you 5 minutes, suddenly your brain just freezes and you can't get all the questions out that you want to ask. But if you have a list of them, then they're actually you're not going to forget. You can tell them, no, I have 5 questions. I'm not going to leave here without asking. And then on top of that, when I am on the phone, what's really funny is patients have told me that they've never had that much time with the doctor before.
Okay.
So
Well,
suddenly,
How many times, how many of us in here tonight have left an appointment and gotten down the road and thought, why didn't I ask that? Oh man, that's a good
Well-
one. I should have asked that one.
yeah, I actually have, I don't know if you can see this, but my list, front and back, that I'm bringing with me to all my doctors this coming week. So they can answer, and I want to see if they all answer the same thing or who I feel more comfortable with staying with.
Yeah.
That could help me more because it's like the doctors in Fergus Falls are brain dead. They don't have the time of day to look into anything. They expect you to know exactly what they're talking about.
But I
And-
think Kim nailed that right when she said, if you walk into your doctor and you say, what about Ivis? He's going to
Yes.
go, he's going to look at you probably like, uh-oh, she knows stuff that maybe I can't, I almost said a dirty word, I can't bull my way through it, or I can't shut court this, because apparently she knows something and she knows some of the right questions to ask. So I need to be on my game.
Yes, I better write that on my list right now. My other one. I got too many lists going. Okay. Yeah, I was really concerned when he first told me you got to walk an hour. And I said, an hour? I don't think I'm going to be able to make an hour. I can walk all I want inside the house, but it's just something that when I get outside and start to walk, I don't know if we take bigger steps or what, something's different. And the pain just is horrendous. I just walked down to my flower garden. I couldn't get back up. I could not walk back up. I had to have my son come and help me get back because of the pain. It's like I can't lift my leg, So
That's why
and
Kevin
so
Morgan.
that's what yeah, but I'll let you get to that because that's also really important. Because also Mike has experience with Kevin Morgan, and the Pad 100 is helpful. But you should enter our walking program so you could track this, because if you have it documented, your claudication time, your doctor can see if you're improving or not with your daily walking regimen. You can walk in there with your stats that say, hey, this is how far I'm walking till I have to rest, but here is how much I'm really walking through the pain. And this is the level of pain I'm at before I rest. And it's all documented for you and your doctor so that you can determine, hey, even after 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it might be, whether or not a procedure is right for you sooner or later.
okay.
And that's
You
why
have
I was going to say our PAD group, we have some amazing videos on there. And walking, have you thought about your shoes? What about your socks? Well, how you walk, where you're walking. What about your stance? And Mr. Morgan has a great thing. Dr. Duwall has a great video on how to walk and the importance of walking. And we have an amazing Dr. Alper who talks about the proper shoes. I never thought about the real proper shoes until I saw his video, and it was like I never thought about my toes spreading out a little more, or buying shoes that were too tight on my toes, causing circulation issues. So we have some amazing doctors that help us with some great videos on how to walk and the
Okay.
importance and how to do it properly.
Well,
And
I
we have a
noticed today when I went to physical therapy, I had a little bit thicker sock compared to my booties, and that hurt my feet. You know, it was like just super tight. And so I thought, well, I'm definitely going to have to order a different pair of tennis shoes. But now, which ones do I buy that are going to be the most comfortable and easy to get in and out of? You know,
Doug, what was the name of the doctor that you mentioned for shoes? Because I have a collection of shoes here in my office. And
Dr. Alper, he had, if you
he's
go
gonna
in there, he has a couple videos about how to buy the proper shoe.
yeah, that's what I need. Alfred. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Alper is in our group. You can always tag him, Dr. David Alper. Just
Okay.
tag David Alper. He's in our group and you can just tag him. The number one thing, Douglas, remember this? He said that when you go to your podiatrist, you should bring a bag of your shoes to the podiatrist and say, which one should I wear and shouldn't I wear? Which is, it's kind of a good way to go.
Yeah.
Also on Wednesdays, we just started, thanks to Joshua's help, we have a new podcast every Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern time, Central, what is it, 10 to 11?
10 to 11.
And it's where we talk about walking as medicine. We talk about exercise, and we're very blessed to have the author of How to Fight the Crippling Pain of Peripheral Artery Disease. He has a PhD in pathology, so he really understands the anatomy. And he is a PAD patient who was told nothing could be done to open up any of his arteries in his legs. And he was determined to participate in the World Ironman triathlon at 82 years old now, 2 years straight.
wow.
And he
Wow.
he shares his exercise regimen and what works for him. And he's willing during that hour to, and you'll see a lot of posts from him in the group. I suggest following him at inspirationalselfhelpbooks.org. No. Scratch that. Inspirationalselfhelpbooks.com, and subscribe to his newsletter. He's very responsive. He loves when you actually talk to him. And Mike, before, there's a couple questions coming in from YouTube, and I'll get to those in a moment. We appreciate everyone joining from YouTube. But Mike actually participates in Dr. Kevin Morgan's PAD 100. Explain what that is, because it's something that they may want to incorporate into their exercise regimen, because you said it really works for you.
Yes, if you watch Kevin Morgan's video, he can explain it a little bit more. But it's basically, instead of getting straight up in the morning, once you wake up, just kind of throw your blanket off and put a pillow down near your feet, and you just kind of doing this with your feet, but you do it like you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you try and keep your toes open at the same time as you bring it back, and then you kind of grasping the kind of air. And if you do that kind of 100 times, I'm not saying don't, and Kevin will tell you himself that if you can't do 100, you can't do 100. But you know, if you can do 20 and then build yourself up to 25, 30, it's just a pad whatever you can do. So
Okay.
if you you're opening your toes at the same time, and then when you grip, every time that 2 feet go down, that's classed as 1. So you do 1, 2. Once you get to 13, I find it quite easy because you do 13, 14, 15. So
Right.
it becomes a lot easier, but it kind of wakes your calves up, and it wakes your feet up, and you get a little bit of tingling at the top of your feet. But once you actually stand up, you can feel you can feel a little bit better. It makes it a lot easier just to take that extra step type thing.
Right. Right.
And one thing, go ahead, Bonnie.
No, go ahead. I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry about that. One of the things that Kevin mentioned to me that helps me, because when I walk, sometimes I get a hip issue, and he has me do kind of that same kind of clawing where you spread your toes as you're walking and almost claw your way. Takes a little getting used to as you're walking, but it eases my cramping in my hips as I'm going, as I'm clawing my way down the road. It's
It's all
actually,
about this kind. It's kind of a little bit like this all the time. You even
yeah.
I do it in my walking day, just kind of walking around to the supermarket now. I'll stretch my feet out, I'll stretch my toes out as I'm kind of walking. It like Kevin said in one of his videos, it becomes second nature. Once you've been doing it for a while, you just kind of figure that you just can do it without even
Yeah.
realizing that you're doing it.
Yeah.
But come join
This
us
has been
any
an
Wednesday.
amazing group this
Okay.
evening, Kim. And I'll just finish with Dr. Alper's video when he said I couldn't walk on the beach without my shoes. It was like, oh man, what kind of group am I in now? It was like, no, I can't. I have to walk on the beach without my shoes, but I don't anymore.
Oh,
So, but
good.
this has been an amazing journey, hasn't it, Kim? For I think we've covered pretty much a lot of what we needed. What is a good thing to cover tonight, don't you think?
I'm so
I
glad,
think
sorry
so.
to jump in. I'm so glad that Douglas texted me and told me to come back into the chat, because at the beginning I thought it was a little bit kind of a lot going on. And then Douglas texted me and said, please come back in. And I'm so glad that I did, because this has been great. This has been really, really good.
This was our
Sorry
first
about
one.
that.
I'm so glad that Marina and Bonnie, thank you so much for sharing. And I know, and Wanda, and Mike. I mean, we really appreciate you being here and sharing. This is the first time that we've done this. So it's really cool. And your stories are going to help so many more people out there, since we broadcast live on YouTube and we'll share it in our groups. Your vulnerability and your courage in sharing your story, it is literally going to spread like diaspora. It's going to help so many people. We hope it helped you in being here and
Yeah.
enjoy the process. And we hope you come back, and with the information, such as with Douglas, is he literally he knows this information backwards and forwards, and now advocates for himself with it, and helps to answer our PAD Leg Saver hotline, and helps to share. So if you may call, you may get Douglas answering the
Okay.
phone, and he can walk you through walking
Yeah.
his medicine. He even volunteers his time. If you are having trouble getting motivated and you want some encouragement in walking, he'll get on the phone with you and he'll say, hey, you know what? Let's both go walk together, and let's be on the phone together, and let's talk about it, and let's motivate one another. So he's very generous with his time. I want to get to a couple quick questions coming in from YouTube. A big thank you to our YouTube audience, Rob, for coming in. We have one from PT 103. Constant iliac arteries, asked the IR if he was going to use IVUS. Oh, wow. And his response, no one ever asked him that. Oh, wow. Why would I use a $10,000 machine? Well, that's a red flag. But it does depend on insurance. If insurance does cover it, it is a non-negotiable for me. I have seen too many cases where it's made a difference. In the iliac artery in particular, an interesting case that came from a patient who traveled from Sacramento, California to the San Francisco Bay Area, when her doctor said, you have nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. And yet she had classic symptoms of not just PAD, but CLI, critical limb ischemia. She had Charlie horses that were waking her up at night, and she was basically a toe stub away from amputation. And I had the opportunity to go observe this case. And the doctor that we sent her to said, Kim, look at this CT, this angiogram. We're pumping in the contrast fluid. You can see the look of the arteries. They look great. But with her symptoms, there's something else going on. and he put in IVUS, and he found out that literally because of the angle of the scan with the contrast dye, it looked as though the vessel didn't have any significant narrowing, but the IVUS showed a 98% blockage
Wow.
because it was like that 2%, that 2% of blood flow was the angle that went right across the top, that's what the scanner caught. And so we think it's really important. Then on top of that, for PT 103 to know is that we've just gotten so many cases of patients across the globe that have been told, well, your iliac stents keep blocking and blocking and blocking and blocking, so we need to do an aortobifemoral bypass. And it turns out that the stent they placed in the iliac artery was simply too small. If only they had used additional imaging, which there is evidence. Yeah, good for the doctors that say they can see everything. I've been in too many cases where I have seen the difference that IVUS can make. That's why for me, it's a non-negotiable when it's available, when insurance covers it. I think that that's really important to
That's
make
used
sure.
on a regular doctor's appointment or in surgery.
Say that again. It would be used in surgery. It slips through the catheter.
Okay.
But most insurance does cover it. And so
Yeah.
I would definitely, and for PT 103, we always suggest before any procedure anyway, we would always suggest getting a second opinion. What you can also do is if they respond like that, like PT 103's doctor responded and saying, why am I going to use a $10,000 device? And say, okay, well, how are you going to ensure me that you are going to properly size my vessel and choose the right balloon and the right stent for the size of my artery? And you can say, you can eye it. That's fake. That's great. But but is it possible that you might undersize it or you might oversize it? And we've had patients that have had oversized what are called tacks, and it's almost like a little staple. They're not on the market anymore. And they put too large of ones in there. They missized the vessel. And now this poor 50-something-year-old woman has a revolving door of procedures like over and over and is constantly on deck for amputation because the vessel just does not stay open because it's a constant reoccurrence of stenosis in there, lots of scar tissue and turbulent flow and clots, and it's sad. So if they can use it, why not use it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's covered. If it's covered by insurance, or you can find a doctor that has it versus one that's not, we always say at least err towards the side of a little extra imaging. What does it hurt? And
Yeah.
on that note, I think that it's
So Kim,
time.
Kim, tell us how you really feel about insurance companies.
Well, wait for my next blog post that is going to be coming out. We have a series called Faces of Denial, and I'm so tired of the callers that call into our Lifesaver hotline in the middle of the night because the insurance company has denied care and they need help getting through the night because they have leg cramps that are waking them up in the middle of the night, and they need to be coached through dangling their legs over the side of the bed, getting up and pacing, having a sip of some tonic water, taking a huge squirt of the spiciest mustard, having a sip of pickle juice, like whatever we can do to help them to mitigate those leg cramps and get them through the night and provide them with hope that something's going to happen to provide them relief sooner. So I just think some of these insurance companies need to watch videos like this to better understand what life is truly like for people with PAD. And that's why it's so important. And I appreciate every one of you for being here and sharing your story and having the courage and being vulnerable with us and everyone who's watching. So we hope you continue. We hope everyone joins us. Our PAD, our Lifesaver hotline, 1-833-PAD-LEGS. or 723-5347. So 833-723-5347. That's PAD legs.
Okay.
Go ahead, Marina.
No, I was just going to say thank you very much. It's been very informative, and it's great encouragement for me. Thank you. I appreciate all of you.
And,
Yes,
and Kim said it, realize how many lives you're being open and sharing your story is going to touch somebody today that will make a difference. We all make a difference. It's one making a difference for another one makes a difference for another, but it takes all of us together to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, can I just chime in and thank you. This has been great. Bonnie, I'm also a fellow widower, so if you feel like you're struggling with your grief as well, you can always reach out. Just as an FYI, that's all. So
Okay. Appreciate
Aw,
it.
thank you.
amazing. Lots of love in our PAD community. You should also join our PAD community at padsupportgroup.org. And our walking support group is walkingsupportgroup.com. So make
We
sure
have
you
a
join.
smoking group on Monday nights.
And a smoking group on Monday nights. We have a smoking cessation group on Monday nights, which is a lot of fun. No judgment. Bonnie,
Okay.
you should join us. It's a lot of fun. It's great
I will.
information. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can
Okay.
actually
Walking one.
talk to Douglas and he'll send you the link to sign up. And then a few minutes
Okay.
before our friend Joshua ends up, and he sends out that link to you in email
Okay.
so that you can join.
Okay.
And you get the email every week as well, which it just sends you straight into the group.
Okay.
Have a
cool.
great week, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.